In 1978, a local newspaper reported high activity in the Uinta Basin. Silver dome-shaped objects were seen, flying saucers. Some witnesses observing the display from close proximity, from underneath the craft. UFOs were buzzing the locals with jagged green lights like fire. Nothing really changes. It's constant. The phenomenon is engaging people. It's a pattern of close encounters. It's commonplace. People hunt the cause. Scientists investigate the carnage. The NIDS team tried to quantify the performances. They created control studies for plant growth. They monitored the environment. They calculated the variables. They analyzed every event. But mostly, they waited for the phenomenon to express itself. And the phenomenon seemed to toy with them, to play games with them. Silence followed by dramatic displays of control. It did what it wanted. It does what it wants. To anybody.
It was dead night. Then out of nowhere, that weird flash.
Can you see that? Look at that. That's amazing.
That's not possible. That is not possible.
There is some kind of intelligence operating here.
And you're not allowed to talk about it. This is like the Area 51 of the paranormal.
So many things have happened on the properties that have not been made public.
Going public now.
It is perhaps the most important scientific effort of our time.
The Pentagon and CIA,
they've been investigating encounters with the paranormal at the ranch.
We're talking about unidentified flying objects, UFOs.
The program received more than $20 million for its work.
This is a potential threat, a grave one to our country.
And everybody who lives there knows about it.
Something is here, something that the government's doing.
Right above my head, and I could hit it with a tennis ball.
The Skinwalker is extraterrestrial.
They should not have vanished, but they vanished.
We are on the eve of something momentous.
Well, I need the fingers to be pointing toward Skinwalker Ranch.
Declassified videos, authentic Department of Defense footage published in December.
Oh my gosh. There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. Wow. Look at the fly. Oh my gosh, dude. Oh my God.
Hey, what is up guys? Tyler here with Secureteam. So the video you just saw is a brand new trailer for the brand new film that has just now gone live. It is out for you guys to watch. The film is known as Hunt for Skinwalker. And if you guys remember, a few weeks back, I featured another trailer for this film, and I talked to you guys a little bit about the worldwide controversy surrounding a ranch located in Utah that has for hundreds of years now been not only known, but feared in many cases as one of the, if not the #1 hotbed for UFO activity on planet Earth, and not just UFO activity. I mean, this place is a mixture of every sort of strange area of this topic, from aliens, UFOs, the paranormal, poltergeists, ghosts, strange energies, actual physical manifestations and creatures. And well, today we have something very special for you guys. Do not click off of this video. Be sure to watch until the very end because you're not going to want to miss it. And if you guys are really looking for some answers, as well as some evidence that will prove to you just how real this phenomenon is, be sure to stay right here and watch this entire video. So, without further ado, Not only did I want to feature for you this new trailer, much more importantly, what you guys are about to hear is an exclusive interview with Secureteam and the creator of this new film, Hunt for Skinwalker, the man who actually went down to this ranch and came out with this over 2-hour-long masterpiece of a documentary. And believe me, I do not say that lightly. There's very few films that I will actually vouch for seriously, and this is one of them. So without further ado, be sure to watch all of this and listen, because I've got something else very special coming at the end of the interview. So let's go ahead and talk with the man himself and the creator of this new film, Mr. Jeremy Corbell. All right, well, we are here with Jeremy Corbell, a very busy man these days. Jeremy, thank you for coming on the channel today.
Hey, thanks so much for having me on.
You're a busy man. I mean, you are doing many, many things at once right now. You have just finished and put out this new film, Hunt for the Skinwalker. Congratulations on the film, man. I hear it's doing wonderful, and as I'm just looking, you have hit #1 in top documentaries on iTunes.
It's incredible, the response that has happened in the last 24 hours. This is just amazing. There's an appetite for this story and this information that is beyond what I ever imagined. And I'm very excited because I never knew that I was going to be able to get this movie out. So amazing.
Exactly. I mean, you've accomplished something amazing here. And as I was saying earlier, before we get into this, and I've said this before to my viewers, and I said it to you, there's very few people I collaborate with here on the channel. There's a ton of UFO and alien-related paranormal movies that come out every single year. And lately, at the very least, a lot of them just lack the hard evidence. They're full of fluff. They just don't do the job. And, I really kind of shy away from featuring those films, but as I was saying to you after I watched the screener of it last night, I was thoroughly impressed. I mean, this film, over 2 hours long, I didn't know what I was, gonna find out going into it, but you really hit the ball out of the park. I mean, this is truly a evidence-rich film that contained information that I'd never heard before, and that's coming from someone who's been running, an alien research channel for 5 years now. And I want to let my viewers know this is not just some shameless plug here. I truly am extremely pleased to feature your film, and I want my fans to go and see it. So congrats again, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. I mean, look, whenever you are reporting in this field, as you well know, you're going to have criticism, and you're not doing this right, or you're not doing that right. Bottom line is, we're putting stuff out, and we're trying to get closer to the truth. And yeah, this film absolutely is rich with evidence, depending on what you consider evidence to be. Look, what happened at Skinwalker Ranch, it frustrated multiple teams of PhD-level scientists over years. It is an elusive phenomenon. But ultimately, and bottom line, if I can put this film out and engage people in this topic to have the discussion, then I have won. Praise and blame, it's all the same. People can say they like or don't like the movie. What I care is they see it and they analyze the information for themselves.
Right, exactly. And I think there is a shortage of films like this these days. I mean, I encounter this problem daily when I used to post a video every day, and sometimes it's just on one topic, sometimes it's on 5 different topics in one video. And the problem that a lot of researchers in this field come up with today is a lack of evidence. Not so much a lack, but almost a lack of the ability to get a hold of the evidence, to get out there and talk to people, and especially for people like me who really don't get to leave the house. We just kind of have to go with the evidence we see online or find online. I've done videos on Skinwalker Ranch in the past, but unlike you, I was not able to get out there and really get on the ground and talk to these people. So can I ask you, was this just one of your sort of, a hot topic in your mind that you wanted to learn more about, and you just kind of, made a phone call to George Knapp, who worked on the film with you? How did this film get made? Was it just as simple as that?
Yeah, nothing is that simple in this, field of topic, in this topic, and nothing is definitely that simple with Skinwalker. I think it was I think it was a combination of determination and luck. So, obviously George Knapp is my mentor in journalism, and I was pestering him. I mean, he kept this story secret since the day he learned it. He was able to put the book out about the ranch, but he was asked to hold in confidence the things that he was learning, and he wanted the information out. He wanted to make a documentary about it. That's the footage you see when I blend the archive news reports in the film. That's all stuff George Knapp recorded. So I was pestering him and bothering him and, saying, hey, is there a way we can get this out? Is there some way? And then opportunity arose in the sale of the ranch, where Bigelow sold the ranch to another private individual. And all of a sudden, there's this opportunity, and that individual does want to get some of this information out, and allowed me, as you saw in the film, to interview him. And although he's keeping his confidentiality of his identity, I think it's really cool. Let us on the ranch, let us film. So it was determination and luck with timing, and really just me being annoying, I think, to George.
Right. Well, that's what you have to do these days. And kudos to you for, George Knapp. For those of you guys who don't know, this guy has been in the trenches for years, specifically for his investigative journalism of Skinwalker Ranch. Now, for those of you who are new to the channel, I've done videos on this before in the past. A few weeks ago, I featured the trailer for your new film. But for those of you who don't know, basically Skinwalker Ranch, sometimes called Sherman Ranch or UFO Ranch, it's a large property near the small town of Ballard, Utah, about 500 acres in size. It borders with is it the Ute Indian Reservation?
Yeah, the Ute.
Ute, got it. Mm-hmm. I have a way of butchering words here, so I'm glad to have you. You can correct me when I'm wrong. Now, the term Skinwalker, does that come from the Navajo Indians? This goes back hundreds of years. And what exactly does that name come from? What does it stand for?
Sure. Yeah. So it is a Native American term. So the way this went down is there has been activity of high strangeness in the Uinta Basin, as what we know as the Uinta Basin. For hundreds of years, if not thousands, as we kind of can collect from all this time that, the phenomenon has been expressing itself since at least the beginning of recorded human history, if not before. So this is something that we have lived with as humans for a very long time. In the tradition, in the Native American tradition, the skinwalker, as you said, from Navajo and in the Ute tradition, is like a shapeshifter, a witch, a trickster. It's a catch-all phrase for, these kind of bizarre things. But in the area, this is something that has been referenced so many times when George Knapp was reporting and going to the ranch and documenting, that it stuck with him. Junior Hicks, I think, said it to him first, that this ridge around the ranch is, that is Skinwalker Ridge. It's known as Skinwalker Ridge. And it's an area that people aren't supposed to go. So that's where the name of the book, Hunt for the Skinwalker, came from. It borrowed from that Native American tradition. And then obviously that moves over into the movie. This movie is about that journey that people took, the scientific teams. Now we know. And as you learned from the movie, yes, there was a scientific team through NIDS, National Institute of Discovery Science, through Robert Bigelow. That was private industry. That was an individual who paid for the scientific study of what he thought was a UFO activity at a ranch, but ended up being a lot more than that. But as you know through the movie, the ranch was studied by the Defense Intelligence Agency. There was a larger, bigger study, way beyond ATIP and what has been announced, which was a passive UFO study, right? A reactive UFO study. We're now talking about the United States government through the Defense Intelligence Agency studying Skinwalker Ranch. That is what happened. Harry Reid, helped fund that. $22 million, helped spearhead that to study the paranormal. That is part of American history, and you learn about that in the movie.
Right, and I think that just for the simple fact, there's a ton of skeptics out there. As you know, I get them posting comments on it. Almost every video I post, people are out there that somehow have this thought in their head that the entire alien or paranormal phenomena is just hogwash. And I don't know where it comes from. I've said on my channel time and time again, there are mountains of evidence, and the only way you're not going to see it is if you choose not to see it, but it's there. And I think aside from eyewitness testimony, which there is a ton in the case of Skinwalker Ranch, video footage. I think the simple fact that you have the U.S. government investigating this place, I mean, that piece of evidence, just that fact alone, that's enough to me, at least, to tell me or anyone else that this is the real deal. The U.S. government does not do anything without reason. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, look, Tyler, we should pay attention. That is kind of the point. I am skeptical too. I am not asking or telling anybody to believe anything. I am begging them to look at the evidence, to look at the stories that includes witness testimony, to try to understand the nature of reality through these experiences and the testimony of people involved. So yeah, the fact the United States government spent $22 million essentially to study Skinwalker Ranch, and that story is going to come out even more. There's a lot more to it, but that is an indicator for sure. But let's go beyond that. If you're just completely skeptical and you're blind to the mountains and mountains of evidence generationally over the decades, that's your problem. It really doesn't. I have no need to convince people. I don't really know what's going on to begin with. I just know there appears to be a non-human intelligence engaging humanity, and that it's been doing so since the beginning of recorded human history at least. It is fascinating. It is big question time here. It allows us to question some of the bigger things. If you're blind to that, if you're going to dismiss millions and millions of people because you're smarter than them, well, go ahead. That's on you. Enjoy your life. I am much more interested in trying to get closer to the truth than proving myself, right about everything. So right. It's a mystery. It's a big mystery.
Right. And I think anybody studying this topic who claims to know the answers is selling you up the river. I mean, first of all, this topic, one of the biggest problems is lack of, I guess you would say, concrete evidence. I mean, I think a lot of the evidence the government knows about, they've kept this from us for years. I mean, that's what I've discovered in almost every facet of this phenomenon. But Skinwalker, I mean, would you agree that Skinwalker is a bit of an anomaly within an anomaly? Because first you have the topic of aliens, UFOs, the paranormal, this sort of interaction with something off-world, this sort of interaction with something that may have been here. I don't know whether you would call it ghosts or poltergeist, some sort of energy. So Skinwalker is kind of an anomaly within an anomaly because the activity surrounding this ranch is not just aliens. It's not just UFOs. It's not just poltergeists. It's not just this weird energy. So would you say it definitely is an anomaly it encompasses literally every facet of this sort of paranormal phenomena, and it's unexplainable.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great way to put it. There's a lot of ways to put it. Some people say it's a paranormal Disneyland. I mean, it's just too wild, everything that occurs there. I say, Skinwalker Ranch is the Area 51 of the paranormal. Look, I don't know what's going on there. I have made a whole movie on it. I've talked with all the scientists involved. I've, kind of walked in the, footprints of George Knapp, following him through this journey in the film, as you'll see. And what I have to say is that it's absolutely wild. It's a brain teaser. So just to give your fans a concrete understanding, we're talking about the Uinta Basin, the Skinwalker Ranch. It is a 500 or 480 acre, maybe 500 acre plus parcel of land that was used as a living laboratory, both by private industry under Robert Bigelow and a scientific team called NIDS, and also through a government, a Defense Intelligence Agency study that was called BASS. Well, BASS was the organization that studied under a program called OSAP. So that's the facts of it. Now, what occurred there and what has been reported there, it does, as you said, Tyler, it ranges from classic close encounters, UFO activity, balls of light that induce external fear, creatures, and we're talking beings, sentient, they call it a precognitive sentient intelligence, mists that invade physicists' minds, beings and ships that come out of what have the optical nature of a wormhole, like a porthole. All of this is reported. Now, if any of this is true, any of it, it's game-changing. It absolutely shows that there is some sort of parallel between what we call UFO activity, which, the simple-minded way to look at it is beings from other star systems, obviously. But the problem is the fly in the ointment, as one of the scientists says. The evidence doesn't show that. What is going on in the Uinta Basin and other places of hotspots in this world seem to meld and mix this absolute bizarre phenomena that you described as poltergeist or paranormal, and other people describe as aliens. So yeah, it's wild.
It is wild, and I think that is what's so amazing about this area, because it encompasses so many different areas of this just sort of everything you could kind of lump together into this topic. And as you said, I mean, I don't want to give any spoilers really to the film, because you just got to sit and watch it. I mean, going into it, I thought, all right, I had just come off sort of a very terrible other movie that I had just watched, and it was about 40 minutes of fluff. I mean, nothing to it. And I kind of went into this thinking, okay, well, this may be around 40, 50 minutes of them talking about the ranch and some things that happen there that are easily findable online. But it was over 2 straight hours of, I mean, in the film, there is footage shown, and George Knapp is in this film. For those of you guys who don't know out there, let's sort of break this down without giving too many spoilers. So, as you said, this has been going on for hundreds, potentially thousands of years. The Native American Indians experienced it. The reports of this mysterious activity started gaining traction in the 1940s, the 1950s, as a hotbed for this activity. Later in 1994, sort of when things started ramping up more, and that was when Terry and Gwen Sherman, which I believe those are pseudonyms for the real family. Is that correct?
So actually, I call them the Gormans because I don't want to identify them by their proper name. So in the book, they use the term Gorman, but that's fine,
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Okay.
No, that's no problem at all. That's people know the identities and names. Journalistically, I'm going to go with Gorman.
Gorman, okay. And that's why I'm glad to have you here, because you can correct me. I mean, there's info online, as you know, but you've been there. You can correct me when I'm wrong. So the Gormans, they move into the ranch, what was it, 1994?
Right, so that's their pseudonym that we use, the Gormans. They did, it might have been 94. I know Robert Bigelow bought the ranch in 1996, so that timeline is about right.
And is it true, and I know you go over this in the film, but I just want to clear this up, was the family, after having experienced a range of strange, some would say disturbing activity, such as UFOs, cattle mutilations, crop circles, hearing voices. Is it true that they were literally, I guess you could say, driven from the home and the ranch?
Yeah, to a high degree. I mean, the way that it was explained to me and the way I understand it, and from all the testimony from people around that time, and, this was a happy family coming in to raise their cattle, and that's what they were doing, and they were happy to get this beautiful parcel of land. But over the months and months, it drove them to places that they were really terrorized by whatever this phenomenon is, whatever was occurring at the ranch. By the end, they were all huddled in one room, for safety, kind of sleeping. It did terrorize them. And I think that Tom Gorman, as he's called in the book, the rancher, I think he wanted answers. He wanted to know, is this the government trying to drive us off the property? And you'll see a very dramatic moment in my movie where you will see the effects of the phenomenon on locals, on people that live there. Very dramatic effects, and how it disturbs them. Who is this? What is this? What is causing this? Is this government, or is this truly paranormal? So you've got a happy family, as you said, coming in, and over the months and months, I mean, it just terrorized them.
Right. And as you said, I mean, this film is chock full. I couldn't believe how many interviews and how many locals you were able to get access to who just poured their hearts out, sometimes getting extremely emotional, talking about what happened to them. I mean, a lot of people are in that area, they will not go near this ranch because of what has occurred.
Right, and people are hesitant, to talk about this. I mean, imagine if somebody like me comes to you and says, "Hey, will you come on camera and tell me all of these wild things that happen to you and how it affects your life and your family and illnesses in your family?" I mean, man, people, to open up on that level, it's like floodgates sometimes open. They have to get it off their chest. So I'm really grateful for the people that did open up because they do want answers. Look, let's look at broad strokes again. Skinwalker Ranch is the most massively scientifically studied, what we call paranormal or UFO hotspot in human history, hands down, both private study and government study. This will never happen again. What you're seeing in this film will never be replicated. The footage during the active investigations at the ranch, thanks to George Knapp, and what he was filming at that time. He wanted to do a documentary. He was asked not to put it out because by doing that, it'll put too many eyes on the ranch during a critical time of study. So he totally went with that. He says, okay, I understand. And he was allowed to do a book, but not with a single picture.
Right.
With this film, you get hours of footage from the ranch itself.
Right.
So that documentary that was buried was basically allowed to come out now.
Right.
It's an exciting time, man.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to touch on next. And you said it perfectly, was that aside from just the eyewitness interviews and, I mean, any film can chock itself full of interviews with people saying this happened, that happened. And as you have said before, of all of the evidence out there, some people don't put this type of evidence as high on a pedestal, but eyewitness evidence, as you've said, is, I think, and I agree with you, one of the most compelling types of evidence, because when you have enough people talking about the same subject and their stories are being corroborated, that is devastating. And not just the eyewitness testimony, because some people can watch a film and they say, okay, he did a lot of great interviews with people, but that's it. And what I love about this film is that not only are you getting these interviews with people describing what they have encountered on this, but as you said, I mean, the video footage that has been kept in secret for years, that is courtesy of George Knapp, actual video footage, photographic evidence in this film, that was truly compelling as well. And, I can only imagine what it was like for you to review this footage for the first time after so many years.
Yeah, it's incredible that, people argue about this. Okay, so what is evidence to you? And then my question is, evidence of what? So, for example, is a cattle mutilation evidence? If you find a dead animal that's there and it was done within 40 minutes, the blood was drained, it's missing critical parts of its organs and its body, that it was done with two different metallic objects, and that is physical evidence. I mean, that is evidence. Evidence of what? We don't know the mechanism of this mutilation. Another example of physical evidence is the magnetization of the whole corrals when those bulls were jammed into that one little trailer. Okay, that's physical evidence. The scientists studied, this and came up with, wow, this is highly magnetized. But evidence of what? And like you said, the ice circle that occurred there. And again, witness testimony. It is evidence. People will argue that all day long, but there's different qualities of evidence when it comes to witness testimony. When people don't know each other and they're spread out by distance and they all report the same thing from different angles, that is evidence. We put people away for life. We put people to capital punishment based on eyewitness testimony.
Yeah, and much less.
And much less. And there's different, I admit, there's different levels and different qualities of evidence when it comes to eyewitness testimony. But you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You need to take all of this together and look at it for yourself. I saw a critic today reporting on another critic's report of the movie, and I thought it was the most ridiculous thing in the world. You haven't watched it for yourself. So that's the point. Is it easier to sit behind and not get physically involved and not really look at this and not try to form your own opinion? Or you can look at it yourself and you can try to understand it, for yourself. And that's the point for all of us, I think. Right.
I agree fully. And just like you, I mean, originally when I first started the channel, I thought I knew it all. So, I would say, as a matter of factly, this is what's going on, that's what's going on. But I learned over the years as I matured a little bit that we really don't know what's going on, and I am the same way. I tell my viewers, look, I'm going to present this to you. I may give my opinion of what I think it may be, what it may not be. I may be totally wrong, but at the end of the day, look at the evidence, make your own decision, and honestly, I don't think anyone would be able to watch this film, really watch it, and just from all of the evidence you've put into this, 2 hours, that's really a small amount of time to jam-pack all of the evidence, and I'm sure you have much more, but you did a wonderful job of putting it together. The editing, cinematography is great. I don't see how anyone could come away from this film not believing, at least believing 100% that there is something strange going on here. You don't have to come away saying, okay, knowing 100% what is going on, but that something is going on here. I think that is without question after watching this.
Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but I don't care what people believe. What I really am passionate about, I make this statement, and I don't make it lightly. I say I want to weaponize your curiosity, and what I mean by that is that I want you to, stop being just a consumer of this information, as a fan or a viewer or a listener, and I want you to become an active participant to contribute to the field. We need things like, as you're talking about your reporting, how it's evolved over time, and that's the thing. We need people to get involved, to have a voice, and to tell everybody should discuss what their opinions are, what their thoughts are on this. It's the only way we're going to get closer to the truth if people start contributing, investigating, looking at this, and engaging the topic for themselves. So really, that's what I want with the movie. I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. I'm just kind of reporting the news, and if that's hard for your mind to handle, that's your problem. It's not mine.
Getting back on topic here, let me ask you this. Let's fast forward a little bit. So the Gormans flee the ranch. The ranch is then purchased by Robert Bigelow, who is the owner of Bigelow Aerospace and Budget Suites. He takes it over, and he starts studying this ranch. And there's a part of the film, again, I don't want to give too many spoilers, speaking about animals, not just what happened to animals on the ranch, but there was a certain point in the film where it talks about how dogs were used as something called, was it biosensors?
Sure. Look, a dog at your home that's a security dog is also a biosensor. That's just a cool way of saying, dogs can sense some stuff. But yeah, there were dog pens that were built by these observation towers that I do feature in my film. And yeah, absolutely, they are great biosensors. You know that if you own a dog and it jumps to the front door because it knows somebody's outside and you didn't know. So precisely. And yeah, animals were harmed violently at the ranch.
Right. And, again, that is just a small piece. Again, there are so many experiments, so many things that happen on this ranch as far as the investigation and the scientific study of it. But fast forwarding a little further, so the study was done. Bigelow eventually transferred rights of the ranch. Now, before it was purchased by the current owner, there was this government study of the ranch after Bigelow's.
Yes, and that's something that really, this movie is really breaking some news if people pay attention to what's going on here. So yes, we have the one, study by Robert Bigelow, I think it was for 7 years, 24 hours a day. Pretty amazing. And then, we had a Defense Intelligence Agency study, BASS, BAASS, one of Bigelow's organizations. Naturally, it got the contract because it was investing more of its own money. And that's the thing people don't understand. Let me just squash some conspiracy theories here. I work for nobody. I work for myself. I am an independent, fully independent investigative reporter and filmmaker. Self-titled, but I'm making films and, investigative reporting, so I feel comfortable with that. Anyway, I don't work for an agency. I'm not part of the CIA.
Who are you a puppet for, Jeremy?
Right, exactly. It's almost, you should see, my wife will laugh her ass off when she hears that stuff. It's hilarious.
I know.
Look, I'm not that interesting. But look, I just want to be really clear, because if we get rid of these mystery things, then what remains is the fascinating part. So Bigelow was not a puppet for the military. He had a genuine personal interest in studying the UFO topic. He sent out a crack team of scientists, which I would do if I was a billionaire for sure. That's amazing. He did that, found out it was much more than just UFOs. And then from there was this interest about Skinwalker Ranch because the Defense Intelligence Agency, a couple people, through Harry Reid, because George Knapp had informed Harry Reid originally about the Lazar story because he was from Nevada. And so that's how Harry Reid got interested. And then all of a sudden the ranch, people read the book, the Defense Intelligence Agency comes out, they assess what's going on at the ranch. They're aware that there are places like this on Earth. They have personal experiences, call them hitchhikers, things that followed them home, things that happened, direct personal experience. And that initiated that $22 million that the New York Times told you was really, they said it was for ATIP, which was the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program for UFOs, a reactionary program. Turns out that's just not even, there's so much more to it. And that was the OSAP, Advanced Aerospace Weapons Systems Application Program, something like that, that they funded this $22 million to study Skinwalker Ranch and associated phenomena to UFOs. So that's how it all played out. Then a new owner came in, and there's a third study underway right now by the new owner who is featured in my movie. And that's where we're at now with the study of the ranch.
Now, there's a topic I wanted to get your opinion on because this ties into it. In December of last year, as many of my viewers will know, we covered it on the channel. I don't know, unless you're living under a rock, how you wouldn't know about it. But New York Times, I think it was, broke the story about this secret Pentagon study into the UFO phenomenon, along with the release of, I think it was three UFO videos that were encounters with unknown objects by American military aircraft, jets and things of that nature. And, it seems like at the time, the story of this secret Pentagon program, it's almost strange. And I get this question from a lot of viewers, is that how is it that the government would allow, at the very least, these three videos that came out that were taken by these jets at various parts in time? Why would the government release that? Why would they allow it to be released? Why would they allow Mr. Is it Elizondo?
Yeah, Lou Elizondo,
right.
Yes.
Why would they allow this man to come out and talk about it? And a lot of my viewers are seeing that as sort of, well, this is the government pushing misinformation, disinformation. They are attempting, because the government just wouldn't do this, or at the very least they wouldn't allow this. So I wanted to see, and again, it came out that this study of UFOs by the Pentagon, $22 million, of a lot of that, a big chunk of it, was linked directly to Bigelow and Skinwalker Ranch. So I wanted to get your opinion about the government. Why do you think it allowed this information in these videos to come out? I mean, what is your stance on the government? Do you think that the government has been hiding this, as I do, but they are simply allowing some information to come out, sort of drip feeding us, but keeping the sort of hardcore data to themselves? I mean, what is it?
You just asked a huge question. So bear with me here, because there's a few different elements here. I mean, first of all, there is no the government. Our government is based upon individuals, and all those individuals have their own personal agendas and personal ideas and personal experiences. I'm not going to claim that I understand, but how or why this is happening now, but I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. Again, you saw in my movie, and I won't give it away, but George Knapp knew what was coming. He knew what was coming way before. That was shown in the first bit of my movie. Now, George Knapp is not the New York Times, and he knows that. He was told that. They wanted to get it to a bigger scale. So what is that? Are those individuals frustrated in positions of power and knowledge that then come forward and give us these gifts? Or is it something more nefarious that, we're slowly being acclimated to an idea about UFOs? I mean, I'm not going to even pretend to understand. Certainly, the United States government as a whole, even though it's made up of people, has protected these non-terrestrial programs and information from the public, that absolutely we know for a fact that not only have they hid the truth, but they have tried to, as a whole, again, there has been an attempt to distort our understanding of the AAV, anomalous aerial vehicle or UFO problem, of things flying within our airspace with impunity. That has been hidden. So nobody, I think, can deny that. That's part of historic documented record, okay? But the interest of individuals like Lou Elizondo, who I have met, and I think he's a stand-up guy, and no matter how this is coming about, he did help to get these videos forward. Now, as you might recall, Tyler, and this is why sometimes I seem very close to these cases, is because I actually developed a friendship and was on the story of the Tic Tac UFO and broke the story before the New York Times twice. And I did that because I got a tip and I followed that tip, and because of my charming personality, I was able to make friends with people and start to learn what was going on. But out of respect, because I'm not the New York Times, I had no way to protect these individuals. I was kind of vague about it, but there was, look, you can really figure it out if you go back and listen to my interviews. So my point is, Commander Fravor is a friend of mine. I just talked with him today. His story, I think, is really important. It validates what so many of us suspected, that our government's interest in UFOs did not end in 1969 with the closing of Project Blue Book, as they have said since 1969. We now know that was not true. So that was a lie. We also know the Pentagon put out statements after the announcement of ATIP, right? So you've got this guy coming out, said, I was head of this UFO program, and they're saying, oh, it ended in 2012.
Right, and I was going to ask you, did you believe that it ended?
Well, no, it's not. But it's not true. We know it's not true. The guy who was head of the program came out and said it's not true. So now you're asking me, is this guy a puppet for the U.S. government? Well, why is he saying something different than them? And then just use your logic. One of the videos, which, by the way, I was the first to tell where it was. I did that on Bizarre States. I actually said it was East Coast. Okay, so I knew that. How did I know that? That video was from 2015. So if ATIP really closed in 2012, why are we getting videos from 2015?
Right.
I mean, it's just logic. So my point is, long story around, Tyler, I don't know the answer to your question. I don't know. All I know is it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing that this acknowledgement is happening. UFOs are real. They're of propulsion systems so advanced and beyond what we have as a nation or any other nation that we are studying it because we want to understand how they work. And I think that is a huge first step.
Jeremy, you've done it all, man. I really appreciate you coming on and talk to me. I mean, this was an amazing film. I mean, well, quick note here, quick question. Did you experience any outside pressure while making this film? Any sort of pressure that was attempting to get you to not make the film or obstruct you a bit? Did you get any sort of vibe that you were being watched as you did this film and investigation?
It's really funny, man. I would like to report that, wow, yeah, there was that level of I've only had support. I mean, I have to tell you, I've never been resisted, only assisted. People have tipped me off, helped me, moved the ball forward. I'm making my own decisions. I'm doing all this, but no, I'm not getting resistance in any way. In fact, I think there's a high level of interest in this movie in a multitude of government agencies. And I know that actually as a fact. And I think that is fascinating. How could they not be? They were parts of these programs, right?
Right.
Yeah. So no, Tyler, I mean, let's just hit the nail on the head. No negative pressure. It's almost as if everybody's interested in getting this information out.
And I think that is so refreshing to sort of see this shift even within the government itself, that people in the government want this information out. They're no longer towing the company line. They are going rogue in many instances and saying this is a real phenomenon. And, I think we're always going to have skeptics. There will be skeptics posting comments about this video, but what I want to say to you guys out there is that Jeremy has done a bang-up job on this film, and it's one of the best documentaries I've seen in years. Make up your own decision. I I just want to say thanks for coming on, man. You're doing it all. I know you're a busy man. I appreciate you coming on this channel and getting the word out, allowing me to let my viewers know about it. I really appreciate it, buddy.
No problem, man. Listen, I really, I've watched your whole presentation evolve. And the more that you evolve with your presentation, the more I respect what you're doing. And I think that I think, again, I want to really nail this on the head. Skepticism is very important. Okay, so I invite skepticism. Please don't just be mean or stupid or something like that. Don't be unnecessary. I invite skepticism. Just look at the information. Right. Look at it with me. Let's have a dialogue.
Right. And I think that's I should be more clear here. That's what I was talking about. Not the skepticism where you've got someone writing a full paragraph saying, okay, this isn't sort of making sense. What about this? I'm talking about those who just post a one-line comment saying, look, this isn't real. You're a bunch of tinfoil hat wearing crazies. You know, you're always going to have those, but
that's so lazy.
Right.
That's
it's
so lazy, man. You know, give me something, but give me a better opponent. I used to be, you know, into mixed martial arts. That was my whole life before this. I mean, give me a worthy opponent, you know. These one-line throwaways, you think that keeps me up at night? Come on, you know. Give me something to work with here, you know. Anyway, enjoy the film, you guys. I'm so glad to be able to talk about it. It really is an honor, man. I'm stoked to be able to reach your audience and just, you know, look, everybody there, you know, life in the universe, it's bigger than we can imagine, and it's time to, you know, start asking some of the big questions, and cinema is a beautiful and fun way to do it. So enjoy the film, and there's another one coming soon, so keep your eyes open.
Guys, you heard it first here. Go and see this film. It's number 1 on iTunes. You can find it there, Amazon, iTunes specifically. You'll get a ton of bonus material. I'll put all the information to it down below, the links to it. I'm telling you guys, if there's ever a film that you want to spend a dime on and watch and really get some in-depth info that you can't find online, dare I say, you can't find on a Secureteam video. I mean, a guy who's been on the ground. Check out this film, Hunt for the Skinwalker. Jeremy, it's been a pleasure. I wish you nothing but success from this film here. I know you're going to be successful. I can't wait for your next film. Thank you for coming on.
I appreciate it, Tyler, and I appreciate your channel, and I do watch it, and I'm going to keep watching, and, you know, thanks again for having me on, and hopefully we'll be talking very soon about another film that's dear to my heart. So thanks, Tyler.
Thank you, Jeremy. We'll see you later. Okay, so again, big thanks to Jeremy for stopping by and giving us this exclusive interview. One last thing before you guys go. If any of you follow me on Twitter, I want you guys to tweet to me the hashtag #FreeMovieCode. And I will be selecting 10 lucky people where I will then private message you with a code that you will be able to put in on the movie website and actually watch or download the movie for free. So all you need to do, again, is follow me on Twitter, tweet at me the hashtag #FreeMovieCode, and I will be private messaging 10 lucky people with the free code to see the film. So again, guys, be sure to check this film out. I wouldn't steer you wrong. It's well worth it. Tell me what you guys think, and as always, thank you all for stopping by. I've got much more in the works, so be sure to share and subscribe, turn on notifications, and I will see you all back in just a bit.